Farmers today are facing rising costs, volatile markets, and extreme weather. The Better Way to Farm podcast digs into strategies to help you take control of farm inputs and maximize profit so your farm can thrive for generations. Remember to take advantage of our free resources at abetterwaytofarm.com. Now, from America's Heartland, here's your host.
Hey guys, Rod here at A Better Way to Farm, where we increase yields and improve profits and hopefully make your life better and from time to time make you think. Today I want to take a little turn from agronomy. We do a lot of that, and I want to do something different. This week I was in Kansas City. I had the pleasure of doing some training for some of our people on the team, and it was really exciting to get together and to see the young people who are learning and working hard and getting better. And one of my mentors was there, and he did some of the training too, and it just really got me thinking. And then there's been a whole bunch of things unfold. You know how it is when the good Lord has things starting, and that does this, and then that creates this, and this creates something else, and all of a sudden you're driving down the road having all these thoughts at all the same time. And so today I want to talk about who gets the credit and what happens when it maybe isn't where we think it ought to be. So often in life we see people who are doing things for recognition, and make no mistake, I think recognition is a great idea. I think that the old poster that I saw here a while back in a place of employment for someone, and on the wall it said, "You want more recognition, just screw up one more time." And I guess on the one hand you could smile and say that was kind of funny, and on the other hand you could say, if that's a attitude that permeates that place of employment, I probably don't want to work there. I really don't. And I want to make sure that where I'm at, that's not how people are feeling. I think that is fantastic. To one of our credos here with the team is we want to catch them doing something right, catch them doing something correct, and then talk to them about that. I know Mary Kay Ash, in one of her books, talked about one of her favorite quotes was, someone said, "Why do you have such a high success rate with your people?" And she said, "Because I believe that I can praise everyone to success." And that really gave me pause to stop and think about it. And I think about how often are we trying to praise our kids? How often are we saying, let's praise our kids into the behavior that we want? How often are we praising our spouse? How often are we praising the people who work for us, or people who work with us, or even people that we work for? Because the bottom line is, it's in the scriptures. It talks about what comes out of the mouth has to do with life. We speak life and we speak death. It's all in the power of the tongue. And when we get all wound up, and oftentimes it starts because someone else got some recognition that we thought we deserved. And here's what I figured out a long time ago. I figured out that when I didn't care who got the credit, I could get a lot more done. But when I got real concerned with making sure I got credit for everything that was happening, all of a sudden I ended up in some trouble, and it slowed things down. And then other people became the same way, because people tend to mirror that activity that we're doing. They tend to mirror that behavior that we're displaying. And so consequently, being a recognition hog probably isn't the answer. What we want to do, we want to be the person who gives out the most praise, the person who gives out the most recognition, the person who, when people leave our presence, they say, "Man, I feel better because I had a chance to talk to him or talk to her." My mentor that was there said, "Let me share something with you guys." He said, "Want to make sure you're aware that the 3 C's are not the secret to success." And that would be to criticize, condemn, and complain. And so often in life, something happens, something changes. We don't like what it is. And we want to spend all of our time set around criticizing it, complaining about it, condemning whoever did it. And here's what I know: life is going to have changes. We can sit around and argue politics all day long, okay? We can sit around and talk about the situation that we're in right now, pro-tariff, anti-tariff, where we're not going to get into any of that, because here's what I've got to do. I got to figure out and say, here's life as it is. I got to look at it realistically and say, here's where we are. Corn today is $4.38 a bushel, and it doesn't do any good to criticize why we're here, how we got here, none of that. It doesn't do any good to condemn. Okay, you blame it on the last administration, you blame it on this administration, you blame it on the man on the moon. Doesn't do any good. We can sit around and complain about it for countless hours, and it doesn't change anything. Criticizing, condemning, complaining. No, the question becomes, what are we going to do? We can't control what happens. We can only control how we act when it happens. We can only control how we respond. And I would encourage us to do intentional responses, not reactionary, inflammatory, just quick reactions. What we want to do is we want to think and we want to respond and we want to do it in a way. So here's the deal: beans are not $15 and we wish they were. They're 10 something. We have to think about, what does that mean for us? What that means for us is we got to be able to grow a bean for $9 and change. Why? Because that's all we're going to get out of them is 10 something, and we got to make a profit. Corn's $4.38. What does that mean? We've still got people. I heard a speaker 2 days ago was talking about the fact that you're going to have $4.85 a bushel in your corn no matter what you do. I completely disagree with that. And if we believe that, what we need to probably do is have a farm sale. Because the fact of the matter is, we're not going to get $4.85 a bushel out of our corn, barring some kind of weird, there's got to be something really hinky happen, a weather event or something. Because right now it looks like the cash crop is about 438, 440, somewhere in there. And there's always people saying it's going to take off and it's going to run, and that's fine. But I have to live here in the real world. And in the real world, my production cost better start with a 3 or even a 2. How are we going to do that? That's what we have to decide. We've got to sit down and say, here's the things that we can do. Here's the responses that we can have. Let's learn how to be better at what we do. I'm painfully aware. I just talked to a friend of mine today and he said, Rod, I just priced a new chore tractor from John Deere, $250,000. That was the MSP on it. There were some bells and whistles and discounts and all of this. It's still going to be over $200,000. That's a lot of money for a tractor to bale hay with and feed the cows. And I'm not quite sure how we're going to make that work. In fact, I don't think we probably are. But here's what I do know. What I have to do is make my plans around the reality that I'm in. I don't like the way the grain prices are, but I can either sit here and complain, or I can go to work and start studying and say, hey, here's how I can grow more bushels and spend less money per acre, thereby driving my costs down. And if I can do that, then I can make some money. And that's how we're going to work through this time. And the good news is, when I learn how to do it when times are really tight, I can still do it. I just got to stay in that habit of managing and working. And when times get good, I can make a lot of money. And that's the key to this thing. But guys, I just wanted to not talk agronomy. Will we talk agronomy? Yeah. But what I'd like you to think about today is, what is it that we can do? What can you do? What can I do that'll make it more pleasant for people to be around us? What can I do to improve those relationships with my spouse, with my kids, with my landlords, with my employees, with my coworkers? If I have a job with my boss, what are the things that I can do? And guys, I just want to encourage you. Let's work at being a little kinder. Let's work at being less inflammatory. Let's work at being someone who's known as a peacemaker. Blessed are the peacemakers. And let's be those people who are working hard every day to do that. Let's be the person who encourages others. Let's be the person who builds others up. Let's be the person who really makes a difference. At the end of the day, I guess the question that we have to ask ourselves is, because someday we've all got an appointment with death. Maybe it's later this afternoon, and maybe it's somewhere down the road 50 years. I don't know. But we've all got one. And the fact of the matter is this: we have to think about, what do we want to be known for? What do we want people to remember us for? Do we want to say, ooh, he was really hot-headed and obnoxious and stubborn and hard to get along with? Or would we rather they say he had principles, but he was flexible? He was firm in what he believed, but he was kind in how he shared it. She was a pleasure to be around because I always felt better when I left her presence. She always had kind words to say. She always was thinking of solutions. She didn't sit around and point out problems. She came up with solutions. Guys, I want to encourage you. I think these are some of the things that we could work on, that we could think about, and that we could do. And as we go forward with the next 7 months of the year here, let's work on being kinder. Let's work on being nicer. And let's work on making life better. Because the bottom line is, as we do this, our own life will improve. We will have more success in our operations. We'll have more success in our personal life, more success in our family life. And that's what we're all about. Guys, we appreciate you here, but we thank you guys for tuning in. We do count it as a blessing to get to be a little bitty part of your life. And we look forward to talking to you again real soon. And we really do hope you're having a better day.